Hi, I'm Elliot Chodoff. I'm from Israel. I was just with Gene Valentino on the Grassroots Truthcast. A great show, wonderful guy teaching important stuff to the American people. So please subscribe.
When I started MyPillow, it was just a problem solution, one product company. Well, since then, with the help of my dedicated employees, we now have hundreds of products, some you might not even know about. To get the word out, we're having a $25 extravaganza. 2-pack multi-use MyPillows, $25. MyPillow sandals, $25. And for the first time ever, our 6-pack towel sets, you guessed it, just $25. Our brand new 4-pack dish towels, $25. And I've never done this before. Premium MyPillows with all new Giza fabric, any size, any loft level, even king size for only $25. And there's so much more. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code for our $25 extravaganza. Order $75 and over, your entire order ships absolutely free.
The race toward the White House is intensifying between the ex-president Donald Trump and Joe Biden. And before the first debate on June 27th, there are pledges to spend more on the campaigns. Joe Biden will focus on the felony of Donald Trump in the 34 counts. And the Biden campaign aims to reach the different constituencies, while Trump is betting on spending millions of dollars to target the Afro-Americans who have been usually pro-Democrats. To discuss this topic, with us from Pensacola, Florida, Gene Valentino, Republican strategist, and from Washington, Erik Huey, Democratic strategist. Welcome both to this discussion. In the beginning, my question to Mr. Valentino, to see Joe Biden spending $50 million in 1 month only, does it signify that he is concerned, scared to lose the elections?
To the contrary, I think it's unbelievable that he has raised over $150 million while his opponent strategizes to put him in jail. The focus isn't on the money for the campaign. The focus is on what Joe Biden has done and is doing to attempt to keep Donald Trump out of the race by staging an illegal and unjust attack on this president for crimes that are still not proven, that have still no evidence. And yet the American public, I don't know what you're reporting or what you're seeing abroad, but the American public has stepped up, and in an unprecedented way, they are showing themselves as Donald Trump's poll numbers rising and his political campaigns dollars are rising. So this is a blessing in disguise that backfired on the Democrats who were trying to put him in jail, the only solution for Joe Biden to win the campaign.
Mr. Valentino, allow me to interrupt you. We will talk about this topic in the second topic about the popularity of Biden. But you said that Biden is having popularity that is reduced. So there are different polls about that. My question is the spending this big amount of money for 1 month. What does it mean?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
It pales into comparison to the spending of the Biden administration, putting us deeper in debt, not using relationships with Saudi Arabia to improve the oil commerce between us, and to rely on us, and to have us now in an economic crisis with more people unemployed, inflation rising historically to the highest letter ever. That's what it means. The focus of who's paying what on campaigns should be analyzed. And if you want to get down into the depth of it, millions of people contribute to Donald Trump. The Hollywood elite and the corporate elite contribute to Biden.
So I will ask the same question on Erik Huey. 50 million dollars spent by Joe Biden. What does it mean for spending this on ads against Trump?
Thank you for having me on, and good evening to your viewers. First of all, I think it shows the seriousness with which Joe Biden is taking this threat from former President Trump. He is not playing not to lose. He is playing to win. He's investing money in key states like Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, North Carolina, Georgia, and Nevada, the key swing states, where it needs to be invested, when it needs to be invested. He had a significant war chest coming into last month. And Donald Trump had one good month because he was convicted of a felony. Now, I think it's important to note, by the way, that Joe Biden did not bring these charges. These were state charges. Former President Trump was convicted on 34 felonies. He is a convicted felon. They might not like that. They might try to spin that, but the reality remains he is a convicted felon, and that's what he's going to have to run this race as, a felon.
Mr. Valentino, to see in the United States an incumbent president and also now a candidate who is Donald Trump and who is now a felon. Don't you think that this reduces his chances and undermine the position?
Calling Donald Trump a felon is like comparing to Joe Biden's uncle being eaten by cannibals. It's off base, it's out of line, it's unjust, unfair, and the problem is many people in the world are not seeing the rest of the story. The people at the district attorney level, the prosecutorial level of our judicial system here in the United States, has these people who are charging him going in and out of the White House for their marching orders from Joe Biden. That is not justice. What you're not seeing is the rest of the story. I encourage you to read the rest of the story.
Everyone reads the full story before the debate. If our discussion now about what is spent by Biden and what Donald Trump is preparing for, Erik Huey, in your opinion, how you expect the debate of 27th of June?
Well, I think it's going to be a high stakes affair. This is the first of likely two debates. It might end up being the only debate. But you have a situation here in the United States where you have a sitting president running against a former president. That is unprecedented in and of itself. You have a former president who is a convicted felon. Whether Mr. Valentino likes that or not, that's the reality. And he's going to be convicted of more crimes because he's facing 92 felony counts in 4 different proceedings in 4 different states. 3 of them federal, and the ones that he was convicted of New York. So you're going to have, and this is going to be high stakes, fireworks, action packed. You're going to have 2 candidates that are, frankly, both of them are unpopular, going against one another. And people are just now, the average citizen is just now beginning to start to pay attention to this race. So this is going to be the first time that a lot of people are engaged, and they're very eager to see the 2 different views of America that are laid out. Joe Biden's is an optimistic view that looks forward. Donald Trump.
Sorry, Erik Huey, allow me to interrupt you. I will try to take your opinion and Valentino's opinion. Erik Huey, I stay with you. You mentioned felon twice. You described him twice as a felon. Considering that Joe Biden, if we suppose that Biden describes Trump as a felon in the debate, what do we expect from Donald Trump in this debate?
Well, Donald Trump.
And after I will pass to Valentino.
Thank you. Donald Trump has no real policy vision for where he wants to take the country. He is painting America as a dark, nihilistic state that is in decline, when the economic numbers point to a very different picture. Our economy is the envy of the world, and unemployment is at a 75-year low. Those are the facts. He's a felon. Those are also the facts. I think what Donald Trump is going to try to do, he's going to do personal attacks. He's going to talk about Hunter Biden. But what Hunter Biden's conviction shows and what Donald Trump's conviction shows is that the American justice system works. Charges were brought. These men did this. A jury of their peers found them guilty. We're moving on to what's next. And what's next is this debate. I think Trump's tactic is going to be his tactic that it always is. To play fast and loose with the facts, and to give very little policy specifics, and throw red meat to the cult that is the MAGA base. But it's not going to work to the general public.
Valentino, Donald Trump is known for being a person who loses his temper, and sometimes he uses some terms which are very aggressive. What could happen in the debate if Biden describes him as a felon? You, Donald Trump, a felon. What can happen?
Well, you've seen a very composed Donald Trump yet recently, who has these bogus charges against him for which he has been found guilty of a Joe Biden Department of Justice. But you're correct. He is energized. I call him the energized bunny. You don't always have to like what he says, but you got to appreciate what he says. I used to be an elected official, and I used to say to my friends and my voters, look, you don't have to like me, but did I get anything done for you? Would you please vote for me again, because I want to continue to do the good things. Donald Trump has done more to reduce debt before things got out of hand. He had a border secured that Joe Biden has left wide open. In the limited amount of time, if you had just focused on the border, I promise you, the Saudi Arabian nation would never tolerate immigrants, illegal immigrants crossing their border the way they're doing here in the United States. They would not tolerate injustice and wrongdoing. And people, Americans, over 800,000 Americans being killed in the last 2 years from these illegal immigrants, who Joe Biden recklessly refuses to close the border, which was closed under Donald Trump, which was opened under...
Sorry to interrupt you, Mr. Valentino. That's an achievement that could be credited to Donald Trump, the fixation of the borders, southern borders. Let us move to the second topic. We will discuss the result of a new poll that talks about the decrease of the support to Trump among the independents. So the trials against Trump did not make Trump lose his popularity. However, there is a poll that is new for Politico and Ipsos. 21% of the independents said that the indictment of Trump made them less likely to support him in the November elections, and that this will be an important factor. And another poll showed that 43% of the participants agreed strongly that the trial against Trump helped Joe Biden. And also, the poll showed that there can be some changes in the polls in the coming months. To discuss this topic, I welcome again Gene Valentino from Florida and also Erik Huey from Washington. Gene Valentino, since you were talking about the fact that these convictions are bogus, fake, and biased, how can you explain that when there are judges and legislators in the judiciary that they made that there is a person who is convicted, how can you say that these convictions are bogus? Can you answer this?
Going back long before Joe Biden to the Obama administration and going back around 15 years, you will find evidence of George Soros and other deep state operatives funding the Biden administration and causing prosecutors and district attorneys to get supported by George Soros. You got them running for office, promising the nation that if you vote for me, I will get rid of Donald Trump. That goes against the nature and the independence of our judicial system. It's a compromise to justice in general. And to your first point, the record shows that the American people found it to be so fraudulent that they invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Trump's campaign. And the poll numbers themselves show that if Donald Trump and Biden were to have the election today, 67% of the people would have Biden out and Trump in. Now we can argue, I've got some other polls I can show you too, but the real poll will be in November when people come to the election booth. And one final point. I don't think Joe Biden will make it to the debate. But if he does, shame on the Democrats who've propped it up this poor person who is an invalid, who has dementia and has suffered human faculties, including being able to manage his personal hygiene at public affairs. Need I say any more?
Sorry to interrupt you. Let's wait the debate and let me move to Erik Huey. Of course, there are convictions against Donald Trump, and the polls show, especially the one made by Politico and Ipsos, that 21% of those who were hesitant after the conviction of Trump, they change their minds. Do you think that this is an indicator that this percentage can increase over time and reach, for instance, some number that could defeat Trump?
Absolutely. I think it's a very clear indicator because the area where this election is going to be litigated is in the center, in the middle, with independent voters primarily in 7 states. Not the people on the cult of the far right, the MAGA cult, not the people who are committed Democrats, but the people in the middle. And for these people, they look at the character of the candidate. And when they see Donald Trump, they know that he's facing 92 indictments and he's been convicted of 34 of those. They know that he is a felon. His campaign manager is a felon. His national security advisor is a felon. His personal lawyer is a felon. His deputy campaign manager, right on down the line. 8 people in his inner circle are felons, including himself. When you lie down with felons, you're a felon, and he's been convicted. So I think that's what they're going to look at, and they're going to say, do we want a convicted criminal who now can't travel to 27 different countries around the world, who can't own a gun, who may not even be able to vote for himself in Florida? Do we want that in our presidency? And I think decent people in the Midwest with Midwestern values in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and elsewhere are going to take a look at him and say, we remember what the Trump years were like. They were utterly corrupt. And Joe Biden might be old, but his level of cognitive decline is nothing compared to Donald Trump, who can't complete a sentence when he's off teleprompter and goes rambling for minutes about sharks. This man is an advanced cognitive decline, and I think they're going to see that. So when they look at the whole picture, where we are as a country, look at Joe Biden, where we were under Donald Trump, and what the darkness that Donald Trump represents, they're going to come down in favor of Joe Biden emphatically.
Mr. Valentino, we all know that the relation of Donald Trump with the Afro-Americans is not good. And also this applies to his relation with the Hispanics. So if we take this regression of Trump in this poll of Politico, given these known factors about his relations with Hispanics and Afro-Americans, do you think this could represent an indicator that the possibility of his loss is likely?
Not likely at all. And let me explain something you said a minute ago about cognitive decline. Trump went through the battery of tests for his intelligence and cognition. He passed with flying colors. Joe Biden refuses to take it, and whatever he has taken, the White House and his team refuse to share it. And finally, about him being a felon, here are the felons. This is the New York Post from a few years ago, and James Clapper and John Brennan in the middle, right there. These 2 guys, head of the CIA and national intelligence. They're not felons, but they should be, because they know better, and they put this false information out indicating that the laptop was a Russian conspiracy, when in the court systems today, it's without refute true, which means these people lied and the rest of the Klan covered up. Now, from that point of view, the African Americans, who have always suffered injustice going back to the early history of this nation, not to mention many of the Latinos, are African Americans that Donald Trump is visiting in the neighborhoods, in the hood, if you will, right now on his campaign tour. The real African Americans and Latinos that are mad at Biden are the ones that went through the immigration process legally and see all the blacks, Latinos, Argentinians, Venezuelans, Chinese, Russians, everybody and their uncle pouring in over the line illegally under Joe Biden. And if you want to worry about something, we may be coming to Saudi Arabia pretty soon to ask for some help to cure this border so we can get our nation back in place to trade effectively with a good ally like Saudi Arabia.
Erik Huey, in your opinion, regarding the borders and the illegal immigration, especially this point, do you think that this is a priority for the American constituencies?
Absolutely, it's a priority, but it's one of many priorities. And what's going to impact the American voter, particularly Black and Latino voters, are economic issues. Yes, the price of eggs and the price of milk are up a little bit. However, inflation is coming down month after month. We have the lowest inflation rate in the OECD top 30 economies. Our economy is the envy of the world. And as I said, and the numbers back up, we were at a 75-year low in unemployment. The economy is improving. It's getting better. It's not where it needs to be for some constituencies, but it's going in the right direction. That's what they're going to look at. There are plenty of jobs out there. There are not people pouring over the border and stealing people's jobs. So I think the border will be an issue. But I'll tell you what the biggest issue in this election is going to be. That is a woman's right to choose, the right to choose an abortion that was taken away by a Supreme Court which is utterly extremist and not responsive to and corrupt. At least Samuel Alito and Justice Thomas, not responsive to the American voter and the electorate. Taking a woman's right to choose away is going to cost the Republicans this election. Mark my words.
I thank you, Gene Valentino from Florida. I also thank Erik Huey from Washington. Thanks a lot for your answers and insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. See you soon.
All right.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2024, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.